Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, no, it's the On the Gas podcast. I did do that on purpose, but yes,
Did you actually?
I genuinely did. I had that
No,
planned
you
all
didn't.
day. I swear on my life.
This man practices this stuff in front of the mirror. I swear to
I
God.
stand in front of the mirror and I'm like, on the gas. Yeah. So, hello and welcome to the On the Gas podcast. Hello. What is Cameron
Hey,
laughing
guys.
at?
Sorry, I'm already cracking up at you just in front of a mirror going, on the gas. Someone walking by your bedroom be thinking,
What?
Are they good?
Sorry, carry on. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello. Well, we're a new era of podcasts and we're a minute in and everyone's laughing at me already. So it's going well, isn't it?
Well, we did predict this. We knew this would
Yeah,
happen.
we did. I think Cameron even said on the social post, like within him, like Declan will say something stupid.
Yep. Immediately, right in there. I had to let people
Immediately,
know
yeah.
what they're
Yeah.
getting in for. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's it.
Well, I mean,
And
if people have listened to us before, they will
True.
know.
That's true.
So-
And I'm hoping and anticipating for more viewers now that have just tuned in. So already they've gone, God, this host's an idiot. God, what is
Which-
this?
Yeah, which is exactly how it should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I mean, everybody else already thinks I'm an idiot, so it's fine. What's 20 more people? But yes, welcome to the On the Gas podcast with myself, Lauren. Say hi.
Hello?
And Cameron.
I don't know what you
Hey.
We're introducing ourselves, Lauren.
Oh, I forgot it's video this time as well.
Yes.
I'm really going to have to think about how I present myself now.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Yes, it's video. But yeah, welcome to the On the Gas podcast. We are, I guess, back. Obviously, we did the Everything Motor Racing podcast for quite a while, and we kind of wanted to start something new, do something new, because I kind of wanted to, like I said on the previous podcast, just pull everything away from Everything Motor Racing and have it as our own entity where we can be ourselves a little bit more and create some cool social content for you guys that's separate to the Everything Motor Racing brand, and yeah, just our own little thing.
Yeah.
And no one has
Cameron
it.
and I
Yeah.
stood up for ourselves. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We said we've
Well,
had
you
enough
did,
of this,
but-
Declan.
Screw this.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, so we're back. We've just come back from Silverstone as well.
We've had a weekend. Oh, my days. Grassini
Yeah, it's mental.
hospitality, the espresso, the bikes, of course, the
Of
racing,
course.
the weather.
Oh yeah,
And
it was perfect.
we all met for the first time in person after like 2
Mhm.
years of talking nonsense on the internet. We all met for the first time, and it was lovely, wasn't it?
It was fantastic. I genuinely had a
Yeah.
blast.
Yeah, we were all being really nice to each other too. It was really weird.
It was getting weird. Deck was getting soppy.
Deck was sending really soppy messages on the way home, and I just had to turn my phone off. I was like, sorry. I actually can't deal with this right now.
Well, it was a pleasure, and I had a great time, and I'm really excited for this project. Social content's already been really good, so thank you, Lauren. And yeah, we got so much to come, and I think it could be something really good. We had some really good chats with some riders at Silverstone, had some other chats with other people that we can't talk about that were also very good. And yeah, it's exciting times at the moment, but I wanted to talk a bit about MotoGP Guru as well, because we wouldn't have been there without them. I mean, we were there as content creators, so we made a lot of content. We've got some vlogs and things like that we're going up on YouTube, but we were there to assist MotoGP Guru. Now, full disclaimer before we go into it, we were gifted it. We didn't pay for anything. We're not paid, but we didn't pay for anything. They just said, come and try out our experience at Silverstone with us that other people could buy and win, and see what you think about it. If you like it, then tell everybody about it. And you know what? I don't know about you two. I had the best weekend potentially of my life.
I bloody loved it, to be honest. Now, I've been in the MotoGP paddock once before, and this experience that MotoGP Guru gave us was just a step above, a million steps above. Like, it was so, so, so good. And yeah, I mean, I wish I was being paid to say this, but like, they were absolutely fantastic. The team that they have there are brilliant. I mean, we were in Grassini Hospitality all weekend, which in itself was amazing. They hosted us so, so well. The food, the drinks, everything was fab there. And then with MotoGP Guru themselves, Federico, who looked
Yeah.
after us all weekend, was absolutely fabulous. Anything we asked about, he sorted within minutes. You know, we got us into the box. We were up and down pit lane on multiple occasions. Deck got to go out on the grid, which is something that we weren't even meant to have. So I mean, yeah, I can't even begin to explain how fantastic the whole experience was. And it's going to be a struggle going back to being a normal fan and sitting sort of behind the fence again after how much of like an immersive weekend that we had, being so close to all of the action. Like from Friday to Sunday, start to finish, we were just literally right smack bang in the middle of it. It was, yeah, amazing.
I can't even add anything to that. Like literally. So listen. So I'm married. So this categorically like cannot be the best weekend of my life.
Fair enough.
But like it was a good one. I mean, it was a really, really great weekend. It was, it's one of those weekends. I said this to you guys like on WhatsApp and everything. It's one of those things where it's like, it it doesn't happen to the likes of me. Like I don't have these kinds of experiences. I don't do this really cool stuff, and it's just amazing that MotoGP Guru invited us along and gave us this experience. And the fact that like their whole angle is that it is for those people who just the fans who
It's for the
don't own
fans,
these
yeah.
businesses that can sponsor teams, and you can it democratizes it, if we want to like use fancy words like this. It democratizes this sort of fan experience and the paddock experience as VIP like experience. I say experience all the time, but it was a hell of experience. And the fact that the fans themselves now have this avenue of like you say, you can buy this experience or you can win it. And yeah, like just a huge shout out to MotoGP Guru for making this possible, giving me the second best weekend of my life. Unreal.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah. This. Yeah. So unreal stuff. Should we now like actually talk about the racing as well? Because
no, we still have to
no,
talk
you
a
got
bit
more
about
to
it.
say.
Whoa, I've got more to say about
got
these
more to
guys.
say. That's great. We can cut this out. It's fine.
I just think I want to mention the fans who were actually there. There was a couple people who had won different experiences through MotoGP Guru as well. And after speaking to some of those people throughout the weekend, seeing their faces and seeing some of their videos, we were all in a wee WhatsApp group together. Seeing that after the weekend, I was like, wow, I actually realized how much it meant to those people as well. Like, obviously, we were all having, that internal, like, fangirling moment over the fact that we'd been invited. But to see how happy the people who had won the competitions or had even maybe paid their way to be there, just, yeah, they all seem to be having a great weekend too. And I think that was something really special as well.
Yeah, it was great to see.
Of course, we were invited down, but the people who had put the money into the project or had won a competition because they'd maybe entered, the little raffles and stuff like that they do.
Played the games.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, speaking to even people who work within MotoGP Guru as well, like they just loved seeing the fans. They were like,
Yeah.
this is what we want to see. We want to see you guys here having a good time. And they were checking up on us throughout the weekend too, and the conversations that we were having about how important it is to be doing stuff like this as well. I suppose it gave me a lot of hope for the future that this is going so well that we can see more of this in the future and bring the fans closer to the sport, which is just what we've been asking for so
Yeah.
long now. It just feels like the racing and the people have sort of got away from each other, whether it be through ticket prices or just even cost of living at the minute, is the prime example. So to see that in itself is just, yeah, really, really cool. I think that tops the weekend off, seeing everyone have such a good time as well.
Yeah. And to go into it, like, obviously I do everything motor racing and stuff like that, so I'm a bit involved in the media side of things, obviously, but at a core, I am still a MotoGP fan. And I spoke with Graham quite a bit at MotoGP Guru, who's the owner, the CEO, the guy who basically does the whole thing. And he just says he loves, because he goes to every round pretty much, he loves seeing the fans come along and their faces after the sessions. And like when I say we got to do everything, I don't think there's something on that list that we couldn't do. Like, we got some favors from people who can't, we're not going to mention, like, we got to go into some areas where you wouldn't get to go in the Guru thing. But at a minimum, with the Guru, we got to go into Grassini Hospitality and eat all their nice food. Their food, by the way, was amazing. Like, you saw how blimmin' high my plates was piled every day.
Oh, this dude could not stop eating. He couldn't eat enough. But I mean, when it's there and it's
like
And when it's
steak.
that good,
It was,
it.
yeah, everything
Yeah.
you can think of, like really nice pasta. There was steak one day. You could have chicken nuggets if you wanted to, and they had like tiramisu's. They had drinks on tap, pretty much out of the fridges that you could just get. So we had all that nice food. We could just sit amongst the riders. Like Albert Arenas was by us. Mano Gonzalez was there. We were stood. I was actually on the Grassini Instagram in the background when Nadia and all that
Seen
came
that.
along with Manu's cake.
Oh,
Because it was his
really?
I meant to
birthday.
send
nice.
that to you actually because I did see it, because at the time I
Yeah.
didn't realise that it was being recorded, because I
No, I
recorded a wee
didn't.
clip on my own phone because
Mm.
Cameron and I had initially been sitting outside, but we ran in to sort of sing along to Happy Birthday, and I caught you sort of just
Yeah,
in
like,
the corner.
oh my god. Yeah, and we got to experience that of what it's like to actually be in the team, and then we got to go in the pit box for quite a lot of sessions. I thought it'd be like once maybe the whole weekend. We were in for like 3 practice sessions, a sprint race, the main race. We got to see all the reactions when Marquez crashed out, and then when Marquez got 4th and stuff like that. And there's a battle because we had VR46 to the left of us. So when
Oh,
Diggia and
yeah.
Alex were scrapping it out, we could
That
hear
was
them
so
clapping.
funny.
And I was like, oh, tense. You could feel the atmosphere. And Marquez shout, we're not going to say what he was saying, obviously, but he was getting pretty annoyed in one of the sessions and yipping and yapping. You could hear Marquez go, this is wrong. This is wrong. I can't do this because
Yeah.
of this. And Frankie be like, okay, da-da-da-da-da. And you heard Frankie like punch something when, or like slam his fist down when Marquez crashed out of the sprint race. And you were right there in the action. And then, like I said, I got to go on the MotoGP grid as well, which was a favour by Graham, who again is MotoGP Guru, to see if we could. He asked Federico if he could sort us out with getting us on the grid, and Federico it could get us all 3, but he pulled some strings to get one of us on. And thank you, may I add again, that you two were like, yes, you go on. And then like we barely saw Marc Marquez all weekend, like 3 times without his helmet on. And I walked in to the area, like just the back of the pits, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Alex and Mark haven't gone yet. They're up there." I was like, "Okay." Alex walked down in his suit and all that, ready to go to the grid. And I was like, and then okay, so Mark might come, and then Mark started walking down the steps, and I was like, "No way!" Because like I said, I'm a fan at heart. I want to get a photo with as many as I can because these guys are like my idols, So we've got photos of Enea, we've got photos of Fabio, and I was like, I'm not going to miss a chance to get a photo of Mark. And then he
You've
walks
got
down the
photos
stairs.
with Fabio. Let's
Yeah,
just.
so we got photos. We got lucky, by the way. I'll
Yeah.
say in why in a minute.
Very lucky. He ignored me all weekend.
But then he started walking down the stairs, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is my only chance! Only chance!" He went and signed
No,
my autograph. What?
Bear in mind, Declan was texting us as this was happening, as Cameron and
Yeah.
I sat like peasants
Yeah,
outside
not on
of
a
the
grid walk.
Grassini hospitality. We were sitting, just drinking water and sort of just talking. We were like, "Oh, well, we'll ask him Federico if we can go in the box to watch the race at least. You know, we might as well try our luck here and see." And Declan's going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, you need to come now, you need to come now." Mark
Yeah.
Marquez is here and sends us through a selfie with him. Of course, we run down. Federico's like, "Yeah, you come on in." But of course, Mark's already gone by the time we literally sprint down to
Yeah.
the Grassini box. But
Yeah, because he walked down, he signed an autograph and then was walking to his box. And I was like, Mark, can I get a photo? And he was like, he looked really annoyed, but he was like, yeah, did the whole PR smile, then went back to like, "Grr." It carried on. Then I got a load of
Oh,
messages on my phone and they're like, did you just get a picture with Mark? And I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, some guy who looks just like you on the live TV feed just got a photo of Mark. And I was like, the hell? Like, that was me. And then, yeah, stood on the grid with like Glenn Irwin by me, Nicholas Hamilton, who's Lewis Hamilton's little brother. Zach Brown was right by me. The Haas guy was there, the Haas CEO, I don't know the name. We saw Gunther Steiner in the paddock Friday. Everything that you could think about that happened, we got to experience. And you can do that too. And this is the maddest thing. So, Guru in itself, they have a few different things. You can do the prediction game where you predict where everybody finishes each race. They're a MotoGP official partner, so they've partnered with Dorna and obviously with the Grassini team as well. And the big prize you can win from this is the Panigale V4S used by Marc Marquez at that Portimao thing earlier this year. You know, when he rode against Rossi and all that for that shakedown. You can win that, or if you don't want the bike, you can get 20 grand cash, which is
that'd be all
crazy.
right.
and it happens because when we were talking to Graham earlier in the weekend, again, he was telling us about the story
They
of
flew
the
out.
kid, yeah, who won it last year. So there was a kid from Indonesia who won it last year, and he
Yeah,
wanted to take the money, and they flew over and went to go see him, and they brought him to. He lived in like this tiny village, and they brought him to Lombok, and it was like the coolest. He'd never ever left his village. He'd never
yeah,
like
Yeah.
been in a proper car. Like all of this mega stuff. And apparently they filmed it. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I would love to
no,
see it if there is footage of it
yeah,
because it sounds incredible. So there is proof that people are winning the money or getting the bike out there.
yeah.
So
And then,
Gotta be in it to win it.
So we do have a special link. So you can click a link in the description and go and check out obviously the MotoGP Guru and what they have to offer. Like I said, we got the kind of the bit more the expensive experience, but you can win that by playing the game, by doing the predictions and things like that. So if you can't afford it, I mean, let's be real, it's a lot of money. But if you can't afford that, go and play the game and see if you can win it. Some guy was sat with us who won it twice in a row. Someone needs to dethrone him. Maybe it could be you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
because
yeah,
I don't play it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
But
Yeah.
all in all, we had an absolutely sensational experience, and it was thanks to MotoGP Guru. And yeah, I think they're great.
As do
Basically.
I.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're great. Full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on to the actual guts of the podcast. So of course, Silverstone just went by. I think a lot has happened, but also not a lot. So the racing was it was okay, but I think
It had
a
its
lot
moments.
more
Yeah.
when you go into the technicalities of it. A lot has happened. Enea Bastianini is now third in the championship, 2 wins to his name this weekend, and now maybe a strong contender to bring that number 1 plate to KTM with him next year. I think it's now a 3-horse race of GP24s.
I think so. Like we've always said, and everybody's always said, for for the first half of this season, and just for as long as Enea has been on a bike, if he starts well and gets a good qualifying, then he's a real threat in a race because he just gets stronger as the race goes on, and quite often it's been too little, too late. But now this weekend, it was, he started well. He had great qualifying as well. And he did the double, his first double. And I think he can, he can absolutely be a title contender now. If he keeps putting in these sort of performances, hard to deny that Enea could creep up on this title fight and take it. 'Cause we're only halfway through the season, so why not? If he keeps pulling out these doubles, it'll be
49-point
sooner
deficit.
rather than later that he starts taking serious points out of Pecco and Martin.
Yeah, I fully agree. I don't want to jump to conclusions with Enea Bastianini because consistency in the past has been an issue. He was very strong in his first season with Grassini, and then that sort of ended up, consistency sort of ruined that. But I do think that this time round, he is a serious contender this time, but whether or not he can do it, I think is another point. Yeah, the fact that he did the double, I think, is massive, all things considered. I think we've been taking this season in two halves. The summer break is always sort of first half, and now second half we sort of get to the flyaways. Lots of things can change. You maybe see some surprise winners and stuff like that, but I think to come back first weekend after the summer break and put a performance like that in, especially when Jorge Martin was having a really, really, really good weekend, which in itself is another talking point. And then as well with Pecco Bagnaia not having a good comeback, well, not ideal comeback with a crash in the sprint and then only managing third in the main race, not scooping up as many points as I think he probably thought he would this weekend. So that sort of, put things into perspective. And then having Marc Marquez in fourth place as well in the race and now in the championship, I think everything's sort of lining up now. I do think these are the guys that we're going to be watching for the championship for this year. So I don't know. I wouldn't rule Marc Marquez out just yet. I think the problem is the fact that he's on a GP23 is what's ruling him out at the minute. But there is talks of maybe developing that a little bit more. Not too sure how true that is. I've just seen a few comments on Twitter from Gigi Delinia, some quotes and stuff like that. So I don't know if that is actually true or not. But we all know that would help and would push Mark further into the title fight. But after this weekend, the biggest question I'm actually thinking about is Ducati have made a massive, massive mistake letting Jorge Martin and Enea Bastianini go.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest mistake ever. I was sort of hemming and hawing about it before the summer break. Like, I don't know if that's good. Like, who have they got now in the ranks that they're really going to back? And then those two guys go ahead and put a weekend like that in and, like, properly sticking it to Pecco and forcing a mistake out of Pecco and then both beating him in the race on Sunday. Yeah, the guys in the Ducati garage sort of faked their happiness, in my opinion, on Sunday.
That's
bittersweet for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not literally. Like, I'm sure Nea's team was happy, but like deep down, like the big head honchos, Gigi and all are sort of going, "Oh, fuck! Like, what have we done?"
Yeah.
They even said, Enea said, didn't he, that he thinks it maybe was a bit silly or something like that they've gotten rid of Martin and Bastianini, because let's be real, Ducati have the three best riders on the grid. Like Marc Marquez, obviously, is on last year's bike and things like that. And Gigi, you mentioned the Gigi quote. The actual quote he said was, "What can be improved on the GP23? We will do it for the rest of the year." Because I can't remember who we spoke to at the weekend, but they said that Marquez is on pretty much like a GP23, the very early one, isn't it? There's barely got any updates on it, barely got anything on it, and it's just
start of the year GP23.
Yeah, and it's not even like it's a 0.2 or anything like that. And so he's struggling quite a lot because the bike's nowhere near what the 24s are. Because in MotoGP, two little parts can give you a tenth, and that can be the difference between first and 10th sometimes. It's ridiculous. And so, he's struggling, especially over a a whole race where he could lose 3 seconds because of that 10th every corner. And so he's having to override it a bit, and that's why we've seen the crashes and the sprint race and things like that. But for them to lose Enea and Martin, but no, I'm going to rephrase that. Not to lose, but to push out the door Martin and Enea is insane to me. Because Martin proved last year that he can do it because he's a runner-up. He was leading the championship at the time, and still is now, when they were like, nah, we're going to sign Mark. And Martin was like, all right, I'll go to Aprilia then. And Enea is now on fire. And Enea has been, and I get it, quite inconsistent on the factory Ducati squad. He's been injured, which didn't help last year, and he's been kind of up and down. The bike last year was quite significantly different to what Enea knew as well, in terms of the way the bike feels, the rear brake, and things like that. It was quite a struggle, I would say, for Enea. And so then to hop on this year's bike that is an improvement, but still quite different, because you got to remember, he doesn't have the consistency of Pecco to go 22, 23, 24. Okay, I know that 22 was like this, and the 24 is similar to that. That's great. He's gone 19 to the 23.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, 19 to 21 to 23 to 24. So he skipped that 22 that was the good bike, shall we say. And so he's had to play catch up. And now he's on the 24 that is the best one that they've ever made. And now he's performing quite well. And now he's third the championship. And he's performed well across the whole season because he's there. He pipped Jorge Martin at Mugello as well. He scored, I think it was like 78 points in the last few races or something ridiculous like that. Full 37 points at Silverstone after the winter break as well. He is on it. And as we know, Enea, when he's on it, is pretty untouchable.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much else to say to that. I think now the question is, sort of to reiterate what I said earlier, is now can he put it together consistently? Is the big question mark. We're going to Austria next, obviously, which
track.
Yeah, exactly. I think it probably will be the same top 4, possible different order, but I
maybe
think,
a KTM.
Yeah.
Let's be like realistic about the whole thing now. So the championship will be won by a Ducati now. They lock the top 4 out in the championship. Vinales is just like 49 points off of Mark now. So that's a gap that I would say is inconceivable, to go from 5th to 1st and be that far behind 4th place. Which of the Ducatis we don't know, but there's a 50% chance that number 1's not staying in the Ducati stable next year. And
I'd say more than that.
I would say more than that. Yeah.
I think the GP24, that gap between that bike and Mark's bike is
so
just
much.
A bit insurmountable for Mark as well. I think it's between these 3
Yeah.
GP24s now, especially with these updates that are just going to keep coming for the 24s as well. I think it's clear how much of a difference that bike makes. So yeah, that means really there's a 66% chance that number 1 plate isn't staying at Ducati.
I think I don't want to rule Mark out of it. I've said that a couple times now because you just never know. Also, points wise, like I think the swing now of points with the sprint races and the main races, being able to score 37 points in a weekend.
Yeah,
you can't rule anybody out in that sense who is within sort of touching distance of it. But I do agree in saying that, it's like 99.9% gonna go to a GP24. Just which one, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part, isn't it?
I don't know. It probably will still be Pecco.
He's so consistent.
I don't know. Yeah.
But this is the thing. Pecco and Martin, as we've said many times, are so prone to a crash that you just don't know, because Martin crashed out in Germany, and then Pecco goes and crashed out of the sprint race in Silverstone. I saw a comment the other day, and it made me rethink things a little bit, I guess, because every time on the pod, whenever one of them crashes out, I'm like, oh, they can't handle the pressure. It's the pressure. It's the pressure. I don't know if it's the pressure as much. Like, of course they have pressure. It'd be stupid to think that they don't, obviously. But
Do you
I
know that
think
TikTok
it's
sound that's like pressure? What pressure?
yeah. What is it? Pressure. What
No.
pressure?
It's
Pressure's
something to do with the English football
yeah.
team.
Alan Shearer said it, didn't he? Pressure.
Yeah.
What
It's
pressure?
like
What is pressure?
Saka,
Pressure is
Bellingham.
yeah.
Pressure? What
Yeah.
pressure?
Yeah, it's like pressure is. I can't remember what he said, but of course there'll be a bit of pressure, but they are riding these bikes on the absolute limit. Every time Pecca goes out and every time Martin goes out, there's a high chance that a lap record is going to be broken. And Pecco on Saturday did demolish the lap record just for Aleix to go and steamroll that party with an even faster lap time.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely annihilated it. But so they are riding at such a high level, and that limit is still always there. And they pair of them do overstep the limit. And I've always noticed that when Marquez crashes, we're like, yeah, he's just finding the limit, and he rides over that limit, and then when he rides over that limit and crashes, he rides on the limit. But then Martin and Pecco are probably doing the same and finding that limit and then riding on that limit, and they're going so
Yeah.
fast now that I'm like, Pecco as well knew he'd had the championship and knew he'd remounted and taken back 49 points, I think it was, from Martin to take the championship lead. And then to lose that, or know that Martin's ahead of you after you've just won the last 4 races, you're going to want to push a bit more. But then obviously Pecco pushed past the limit and went down on the Saturday. And now I think championship leads like 2 points, 4 points, something stupid like that.
4.
3, I think.
Oh.
Oh
4,
god, yeah,
3.
slap in the middle there.
Somewhere in the
Nice.
middle.
Well,
I think it's 2
it must
points.
be
But
one
I'm
of
just going to
them.
triple check. I'm going to triple check now, quick.
Yeah, I do agree that I don't think it's pressure at this stage.
No,
I think.
it's 3. Yeah.
Oh. Well, there you
Damn,
go.
son.
Thank you very much. Carry on.
I do agree that I don't think that it's pressure. I think it is the mind games now.
Yeah.
Because Pecco was following Martin in the second practice session on Friday. And then obviously come Saturday qualifying,
Martin
Pecco's
followed
complaining
Pecco.
about everyone doing what they're doing in
Yeah.
qualifying, which he's within his right to sort of say that. That's what he thinks. And then obviously crashes in the sprint. Jorge Martin goes, you know what? I don't need to do any more here. I've got second place in the bag when Enea Bastianini obviously went past him. That's smart thinking. When the pressure could have got to him there, it didn't.
Yeah.
But then you go to the race on Sunday again, and then Bastianini gets past. Jorge Martin goes, do you know what? That's totally fine by me. But then Pecco does the same thing by going, Marc Marquez is far enough behind me here that I don't need to worry. These 2 guys are also in front of me. I'm not going to push any harder than I need to push. And then all 3 of them have a sensible race where they're going, no, I'm just going to take these points home with me. So I don't know. No, I can't call it of like, oh, the pressure's going to get to them and so-and-so's going to crash and blah, blah, blah. Like, we literally talked about it before the sprint race with Jordan from CrashNet, and we all were like, Pecco's got it in the bag, he's got the championship
Yeah, he's not
won.
crashed
Like,
in ages.
yeah, he hasn't crashed in ages, he's on a roll, and then he goes out and crashes,
Bang.
and all of us were like,
Like,
completely put the Scud on here. Like, we literally had to text Jordan and be like, oh my god, what
yeah,
have we
what
done?
the hell?
Like, it was kind of scary. But yeah, I think this is where Enea Bastianini comes into it. Of, we haven't seen him at like the front of a championship like this, so now that adds something in that we don't know. The unknown now has been added in, and yes, he's however many points behind, but reiterating what I said earlier, with the fact that you can score 37 points in a weekend, he can get involved in this championship fight very, very quickly. by the other two riders having one bad weekend. So, coming out of Austria in a couple of weeks' time, we could be having a very different conversation of sort of about Enea Bastianini. We could be talking about how Martin's starting to run away with it, or we can talk about how Pecco is bounced back. I think there's a lot of unknowns now.
Yeah, the story is still yet
Which,
to be written.
yeah, when we sort of thought it had gone down to a 2-horse race, now it's like, ooh, let's just
And
add
there's like,
Yeah,
surprise,
Aeneas
mother trucker.
entered the
something
chat.
else
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
And I do
It's
still
like,
think
we
like
forgot about
other
me.
things could happen with other riders. Alicia Spargo being up there this weekend, like that could have thrown a complete spanner in the works. So
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying earlier about like Austria, for example, and who it suits best. And obviously it's a Ducati track and has been for a while, but one of you mentioned the fact that KTM are actually quite good there around there as well. They do a lot of testing there. I think Pedrosa tested there recently as well, so they've got some fresh data. Pole definitely tested there recently, this year at least, so definitely got some fresh data. Is Pole? No, Pole's wildcard in at Misano, isn't it? I don't think he's here
Danny
this
Pedrosa
weekend.
going to be there?
I'm not
That'd
sure.
be
Let's
nice.
just check. Pole Spargo. I don't think Danny will be. Let's just check. Pole Spargo wildcard.
Paul Spargo looked so good at Silverstone when he did the wee retro, like Peaky Blinders.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
costume.
Polky
that was
blinder.
sick. Yeah, and yeah, Paul is there in Austria. Yeah, thought he would be.
Sick.
Who's going to be reporting on to Zen?
Probably no. I don't know. Just standing like when Stefan rides, because he does service TV, doesn't he? But then when he's not doing it, Sanjay Cortesia, someone comes and steps in and does it.
Oh.
So I don't know. Not really sure, but Lorenzo's a DAZN guy as well, isn't he?
Oh.
And Danny Pedrosa as well. So it might be one of them too. But which is quite cool. Quite jealous of the Spaniards, to be honest. But yeah, Paul's little get up at the weekend was so sick. And I can never pronounce the name. Isa Ruiz. Let's have a look. DAZN. I need to
Oh.
learn the
Pass.
name.
Hard
Yeah,
pass on that one, I'm afraid.
Isaskun, yeah. Isaskun Ruiz. She's the
Right.
lady who's also on the mic with him. Yeah, them two come in as like peaky or pulky blinders get up. They really did like match the occasion of the 75th anniversary. I absolutely love that. But KTM will be quite strong. It depends, actually. I say this, KTM will be strong because they've been kind of all over the place. Pedro Costa's disappeared off the map a little bit. Binder the same. Augusto and Miller are kind of spoken for, really, but
not being as consistent this year as they were last year.
No,
for sure. I don't know if it's just the step that Ducati have made. Have just made it.
I think Ducati have made a huge step.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, like the top 5 spots have those 3 GP24s in them every weekend, basically. So that's at least that's like a podium lockout, basically. Marquez might interchange with them. Marquez, that is. And then maybe in Aprilia, and then it's the KTM start to get involved, really. It's cracking the top 10 for the KTM seems to be a good result at the moment.
Yeah, where did they finish?
Maybe 7th, 8th? How did they...
Well, I mean, Brad had an issue.
Oh, yeah, Brad. Yeah,
Brad's...
Yeah, he did. So that Costa was 9th. So
wow,
Miller
really?
12th. Augusto Fernandez 16th.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's tough. And Augusto Fernandez rumoured to go to Yamaha as a test rider. And then Miller might have a Pramac Yamaha lifeline because we saw him kind of go into Pramac, didn't we? At the weekend.
Kind of. I mean, he walked through the doors. What do you mean, kind of went in?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't just stand outside, did he?
No. He went in and had a chat. And from what I was told from people around there, it was more than just a bit of a coffee and a catch up. So whether anything will come from that, we don't know. I think the other week I mentioned that sometimes rumors get thrown out there as red herrings to get riders to change their opinions and do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I think the whole Jack Miller Aruba rumor was definitely something to get Bautista to lower his wage demands a little bit.
Well, Batista said today, this
Yeah.
is Thursday, the day of recording, that he opened conversations with Aruba after Most.
Yeah.
Which means that according to him, there hasn't been any conversation before that. So the Jack Miller thing could be true, although according to Jack Miller, he hasn't spoken to anybody. So
No, and then according
which is
to
also false.
Well, that means he has,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And according to
So-
someone else, Jack Miller offered himself up to Aruba, and Aruba didn't want him. So again, it's all just
Yeah.
hearsay. I think the fact that Autosport were the ones, but was it Autosport? I'm sure it was Autosport.
I mean, Autosport talked about Jack Miller. Simon Patterson was also talking about Jack Miller quite a while ago now.
Yeah, it was
to
Autosport. Yeah.
to Aruba. So
Yeah, exactly. And if them three are saying that, I'm more likely to believe it than anything else. So yeah, we'll see on that front. But yeah, Ducati are just so strong at the moment, and they've just bolstered their kind of lineup for next year with Fabio Diggia signing a 2-year deal to be a Ducati rider on the GP25 next year, because it was also officially confirmed that VR46 will be running the apparently sole GP25 next year, with Ducati limiting it to 3 GP25s and 3 GP24s, split between Grassini, VR46, and the factory squad, of course, with Digia getting that up-to-date bike. And to be honest, I am absolutely over the moon for Digia, and he deserves the hell out of that, considering late last year he was there without a seat, didn't even have a spot in World Superbikes, and now he's got a factory Ducati bike. And he's earned it. He's not been
yeah.
given it. He's earned the hell out of that.
That's exactly it. I think his performances have spoken for themselves, and I mean, I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. To be honest,
Yeah. Well, he was not scared of battling Alex Marquez at the weekend, was he?
yeah, that was a great little battle
I think
as
he
well.
thought
That
he was in
marvelous.
Moto 3. Did you see him tapping his tank?
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
so funny. Listening
Yeah.
to
We
the
all
two
laughed our heads
garages as that was going on, because in Grassini
Yeah.
we were obviously like, "What is he doing?" And then next door you could hear them all laughing, being like, "Yeah, come on!"
And the fact that he was doing that to be like, hey, you know,
We'll
catch
catch
on the
him.
back of me so we can catch your brother
Yeah.
and possibly ruin his race. Like, oh, Alex is probably like, no,
Absolutely
No.
not.
yeah,
I want to go home, please, and have a place to live. You know, I don't want to destroy my brother's race weekend.
Yeah, I've got to have dinner with this guy. Like,
yeah, come on.
Like, I live for this guy. Please stop. Yeah, that was so good from Digia and ballsy. Like, you don't see
Yeah.
that in MotoGP. So the fact that he did that, yeah, respect. to
but
be
it's an attitude thing. Like, you can see the difference in Digia when it sort of was confirmed or pretty obvious at the end of last year that he didn't have a seat absolutely anywhere, and the change in his performance of literally fighting for a seat to stay in MotoGP. And then obviously the sign with VR46, that sort of turned into this like now mad
momentum.
childhood dream that he sort of realized that, like, God, I'm
Yeah.
riding with Valentino Rossi's team, and this weekend in particular, which I think went hand in hand with his good performances, was he was like a kid at Christmas riding in Valentino
Yeah.
Rossi's colours with
He
the
said it was an
retro
honour,
livery.
didn't he? He said it was
Yeah.
an absolute honour to wear the helmet of Valentino Rossi and the
To
colours
wear
of
the
Valentino
helmet, the
Rossi.
colours. Yeah, he was just like, this is literally like a childhood dream come true. And
And
like,
he's earned the hell out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just goes to show. And he even said throughout the weekend too, of like, look what happens when you change your mindset, and look what happens when you persevere and you put the faith in yourself, and you can really achieve anything that you set your mind to. So
Mm,
yeah, he's a lot to be grateful for within VR46, and I think from Ducati's perspective, it makes a lot of sense to secure a rider like Digia. Obviously, having Marc Marquez in the lineup and Pecco Bagnaia, you know, neither of them are going to be around forever. So you do sort of have to look at that younger talent, and I think Digia is a fantastic option. I think I was quite surprised when they decided to go with VR46 as the sort of to have the second or the third factory
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I really did think that they were gonna go Grassini's way. But
mm.
then you never know. You know, when you look at that team and you look at the fact that there's Alex Marquez there, and
Who has sad sprint wins.
yeah, somewhat confirmed that Firmino Daguerre will be there next year. I think maybe when you look at it from that perspective, you sort of go, VR46 does make more sense.
Yeah.
I think the last seat is definitely going to be Furman's, because he's the only Ducati left.
Yeah,
There's one
that's
Ducati seat
unconfirmed.
left.
Yeah. We know he's
Not
got a
confirmed.
seat, but
Yeah,
No, it's
he
not
was.
confirmed.
He was in Grassini Hospitality on Friday, but
Yeah, and had a
like we've been
20-minute
told
meeting.
that. But other than that,
Mhm.
we're clutching at straws at that point. But I mean,
Yeah.
it has to be Grassini.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to make a 7th team just for him, so like all logic points towards that, because Davide Tardozzi on Dorna feed was like, "Oh yeah, Franco Morbidelli is getting the GP24," and we're all like, "What?"
yeah,
That
at
wasn't confirmed.
VR46.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
VR46 is confirmed as our satellite team, and Digi's getting a 25, and Morbidelli's getting the 24. We're
Yeah,
only
I'm like,
having the 3 GP25s, and you could hear it in the commentary over
Yeah.
at Silverstone as well, because TNT Sports was being broadcast over the
Yeah.
circuit, and you could hear Susie Perry being like, let me just fact check that. And then obviously everyone going,
We were all like, huh?
yeah,
What's going
he's
on?
just literally confirmed that on live television, on live feed, when he really shouldn't have. So,
Yeah.
bit awkward.
Yeah.
I love Tardozzi. He's so funny.
Does what he
Just,
wants.
He does. You know
well,
what? He's talented. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
well, yeah, maybe they did it on purpose.
Probably. Like,
Maybe.
you got to think Ducati will have a fat PR team behind them, telling them what to do and what not to do, and it got people talking. You know, they've just had their
Yeah,
announcement,
true.
and then how do you get even more press out of that? Release the names of the riders that they'll be riding for the next year.
I
Get a few more
suppose they
tweets
did it
up.
quite well, because they announced Diggia, what, a day or 2 days ago?
Yeah,
I feel like
they'd
they could
already-
have held on to that for a wee bit longer, you know?
Yeah, maybe it depends, because it intrigues me, because we know Franco's done it, got the seat, but they've not announced it yet. But I did see an interesting tweet earlier that basically said that the reason they don't do this is to allow each story to have the space and time it needs to breathe, if that makes sense. Like VR46 and GP25 were confirmed over the weekend, so then get that story out, write some stories on it, and let it simmer. Then announce Digia. Okay, more stories, more posts. Simmer again. And then you can announce Franco, instead of having this whole thing where it's like a backed up train at the station where it's like, oh, this is out, also this has happened, and this has happened. You know, and you're like,
Yeah.
Well, that does back the fact that Tardozzi has let it slip on accident.
yeah, that's true.
Because based on that, of like, you know, letting the stories have their own time, I did also see those tweets today. That
Yeah.
does not go with letting each story
No,
have
it's
their own
true.
time. He literally
Yeah.
just outed them when he shouldn't
Well,
have.
yeah, and maybe I can rescind my point on the whole Ducati PR team, given that Pecco was allowed to run that helmet the other year as well. So,
Well, yeah, if we're gonna,
Let's not go there.
no,
Yeah,
don't
let's-
open that kind of worms. Let's shut
we-
that bottle
we-
back
we
up
s-
again.
we spoke about that at the time, and
Yeah.
we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Where it should be left.
Yeah, I did see some more interesting things that came out of Silverstone from, I think Matt Oxley was the first person to talk about it. But it was kind of a lot going on. But Matt was able to compile all the information and put it in a nice article that BMW have purchased for 18 million euros all of Suzuki's data from MotoGP, which points to a few things. Cam was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
news.
this is the first I've heard of that. That was
Yeah.
a genuine reaction of mine.
Nice.
So
That's what we like
Wow.
for the podcast. Let's go."
yeah.
So, yeah, they've basically purchased all of Suzuki's data. BMW in World Superbikes use an inline-4 engine. Therefore, Suzuki works quite well. It gives them a baseline for if they wanted to have a MotoGP bike to be able to maybe build off of that and create something that's powerful that also works with their engine configuration. The chassis is an important one because the MotoGP chassis is quite rigid, whereas obviously the BMW and Superbikes, there's a lot of flex in that chassis. And so having to start from zero and work your way up like KTM did proves to be quite difficult. And we saw KTM struggle for quite a while until they were able to finally kind of make it click and go, right, let's get rid of this steel trellis frame and get a carbon fiber one. And suddenly an aluminium one. And suddenly we're a lot better, you
Yeah.
know, because they didn't have the data to back up that actually, no, this is why you should use this over this. So BMW having that data right from the get-go gives them a very good base. I mean, it's a shame they can't purchase Suzuki bikes because, you know, as we saw last year, people have been buying the parts and putting them on their blooming street bikes and
Wild.
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting because BMW could come in 2027. I don't see them making a bike before then, because what is the point with a
No,
new engine
exactly.
configuration?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, very
I think,
interesting.
you know, I was thinking this the other day about the whole inline four thing, because so Yamaha are the only manufacturer in MotoGP that have an inline four right now,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, and
Mhm.
like, I don't know, they seem to have sorted the top end power of it. It like in the speed traps, they're just as quick as any other bike now, but it still seems to be this. There's still something with the delivery or how it's putting the power down, and in some ways, it's still not, you know, performing like the V4s are. But then if you look at World Superbikes, you've got Honda. Honda's an inline four, right? The CBR.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
The Kawasaki, the ZX10R, that's going to be an inline four, and then the BMW inline four, and all
Mhm.
those bikes, with the exception of the Honda, so the Kawasaki and the BMW in World Superbikes, I would say are a superior bike to the Yamaha. They seem to be doing better, particularly like on the straights, and where power delivery and everything's concerned. So I don't know. Perhaps the introduction of a BMW inline four in MotoGP will show Yamaha that it can be done, and like this
Yeah.
sort of crutch of being like, oh well, you know, we use an inline four. This, you know, maybe we don't expect the same sort of power, but the cornering's better. Yada yada. Maybe BMW are going to remove that laurel to rest on,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and yeah, it could be interesting. I think BMW, given the might that they have, I know we said this about KTM when they joined, but given the sheer might of BMW and having a talent like Top Rack to help them, you know, develop a bike and ride the bike probably when they, if/when they do show up in the class, I think they could do really, really well. If I'm
well,
honest.
do you remember, obviously expanding on that point about the whole inline four and power and things like that, do you remember when Suzuki brought a brand new engine to Qatar and just absolutely destroyed everyone?
Yeah, they took the Ducati on the straight, right?
Yeah, I
Sylvan lost
remember.
his mind. I remember.
Yeah, because the year
Yeah.
prior, Johan Mir got absolutely dunked on the same straight by two
Oh,
Ducatis and lost the second to finish fourth.
yeah,
And
got
then
minced.
Rins was overtaking Ducatis on the same straight a year later, because even on inline four, and the BMW is famously incredibly fast. That M1000 is an absolute rocket
Yeah,
and
yeah,
is potentially faster than the V4 sometimes. But again, I'm going to credit Matt Oxley, because there is a reason that the V4 is faster than an inline four. I wouldn't be able to explain it very well. Matt Oxley can and has. So in his article, it basically says why are MotoGP V4s faster than inline fours, which is perfect. It basically
yeah.
says that the V4 makes more horsepower, but mainly it's to do, and they make more power. It's to do with the crankshaft. A V4's crankshaft is shorter than inline fours, meaning it's stiffer and stronger. It creates less friction because it runs on three net main bearings and not five, which are the minimum required by an inline four. With adjacent connecting rods and the same big end journal, it creates less rocking couple. Don't know what that means. No idea.
Right.
No idea at
Okay.
all. But basically, there are pumping losses, it says, which is a power wasted in pumping air through the engine from intake to exhaust, which basically allows it to have more power because it loses less power through those pumping losses, through pumping air through the
Sure.
engine.
Yeah. Okay. It's
So
just there's less inefficiencies within the engine to just
that's a very
yeah
good way of summarizing that. And so it can then utilize the power better to then have even more power.
yeah okay.
And
Checks out.
so it's a tricky one with the inline four because we saw Honda go from the inline four to the V4 a few years ago, especially when Marquez was struggling, and they were like, right, let's just switch to this other one because Honda had pretty much the fastest bike on the grid at one point, and they had to actually tone it down the engine because it was that fast.
Yeah.
Suzuki were able to pull power out of an inline four. They've then given BMW the blueprints, who can already make a fast inline four of their fast inline four, meaning that
that's a good sign.
BMW, if they wanted to come in, I don't think there'd be any issues of top speed kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a hell of a leg up that they would be given.
And Suzuki are also the best handling bike on the grid.
Yep.
And the best overall bike. I would say, great in every area, maybe not exceptional in any area, but every area, maybe brake cornering was probably where they were like absolute peak. But pretty good in every area and consistent enough for Alex Rins, who is great in every aspect, to then win multiple races on it and Johan Mir to win a title on it.
So I remember, like towards the end of the 2022 was their last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like towards the end of the 2022 season, I'm pretty sure the Suzuki was the only bike able to beat a Ducati in a dry race. Like once Pecco really found that momentum in 2022, I'm fairly sure the Suzuki was the only one to do it in the dry.
That's
Might
insane.
be wrong, but yeah, so like it worked. And if BMW can build on what Suzuki left off with, that's a recipe for a winner. That said, regulation changes and stuff. So
yeah. And
it's not
you know
gonna be
what? They might not even
apples.
join MotoGP. They might just decide to use some data for Superbike project.
True.
Well, I sort of half zoned out of that conversation there because I was reading an article that I had actually read earlier about this because I'd heard the story that Matt Oxley had dropped with the fact that BMW are obviously interested in buying the data for 18 million. And I seen a lot of tweets afterwards saying that they still don't think that BMW are going to make a MotoGP bike and enter in 2027. Even though Dorna really, really want them to and have pretty much offered it to them on a silver platter by the sounds of it, they've said no every single time. The last time, obviously, they were offered is when Suzuki were leaving and they were basically said, you can just take all of this. I think essentially for free, just take Suzuki stuff and create your MotoGP project, and they said no. But reading an article that David Emmett wrote earlier today, he's still not convinced that BMW are going to enter MotoGP. So
why? What's
a lot of it seems to just sort of be like, is it worth it, basically? Because the money to do MotoGP is so much higher than what they're doing in World Superbikes at the minute. To put yourself through that, is it really worth it as such? Is the main point that I'm taking out of this article. Now I have literally just skimmed through it and you guys chatting away there. But yeah, it sort of seems like they're not fully sold on it either, but it's easy to talk about Toprak doing well, and it sort of makes sense that, I remember a couple of weeks ago, even months ago, talking about it on this podcast that, they'd need to have the likes of Toprak on board going to MotoGP to be able to do this sort of project. They need serious riders who are very, very skilled and are wanting to do this move with them. So yeah, I think there's a lot of moving parts to it, and unless they've got the data, the riders, the bike, the engineers, they're gonna need to pull in a lot of people. Like, yeah, okay, you buy Suzuki's data, but you're gonna need someone who knows what they're doing with that to be a part of that project. And again, it sort of comes down to money and stuff like that. Like, are you actually going to get all the people that you need to get on board to make a serious stab at this, to make it worth your while because of how much money you're going to need to put into this? It's a lot of question marks, and I was solely convinced that BMW were going to go in 2027, but after today, even with the news of them inquiring about that. I'm a bit more 50-50 about it now.
I think BMW
I'm
an
optimistic.
advantage. I think
Yeah.
I think BMW an advantage that they're very rich, like
Yeah.
stupid rich, and they can kind of afford to put money into this. They've got Rocket as a sponsor, which is one of the massive companies. It's an absolutely monumental company that does absolutely everything, apparently, from energy drinks to blimmin', I don't even know, toothbrushes. They do toothpaste. I'm absolutely sure Rocket make toothpaste. Let's have a look.
Oh, we're gonna
Toothpaste.
find out.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah, they
okay,
make
they've got
toothpaste. They
a
make
load of money,
everything.
but what is the point if it doesn't work?
But
Like, in the
surely,
long term, are they actually
Yeah.
wanting to do this? Because look how far ahead Ducati are. Look how like
Hmm.
struggling Honda and Yamaha are to come into this seriously. I know the regulations are going to change, but I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. We're obviously optimistic at the minute that Honda and Yamaha are going to be able to make a massive step, but like, you have to be realistic.
Well,
Is it worth it?
my
Like, reading that article, I don't think it is worth it unless they can make a serious stab at it.
my answer to that is, if they didn't think it was worth it, they wouldn't do it. Simply put,
Yeah, but we don't know if they've actually bought it yet.
Honda, the same with Honda. You know, they run around the back of the grid. Yamaha run around the back of the grid, and yet they could easily pull out and be like, you know what, this is such a waste of money. We're spending millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions a year on this project, and we're getting nothing out of it. We're losing Repsol as a sponsor. You know, riders are finishing last. We're paying Fabio 12 million a year at Yamaha, and we're still kind of struggling. Something in there is making it worth it. And I think for BMW to come in, they would have had to see the value in the product of MotoGP and what it can do for the brand in terms of marketing and selling bikes and things like that, and gone, you know, yeah, it's worth it. Because they wouldn't have been sat on the sidelines for so long and then suddenly made a decision of joining. If they do join, that is obviously nothing confirmed. They wouldn't have made that decision of joining again, if they do join, if they didn't think something in there was valuable enough for them to spend hundreds of millions a year making racing motorbikes around the world.
at very
Yeah.
least, with a company like BMW, whose profit margins must be disgusting,
Yeah,
at very least, it's a tax write-off.
true.
You know,
I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be BMW, realistically. Like,
yeah,
Mm.
all the
Suzuki
safety
are,
cars,
yeah,
and yeah,
Suzuki are out now. Like, that's
You got to think.
pretty clear to see.
You got to think of a marketing perspective as well, right? If BMW join MotoGP, BMW are very active in every championship in the world, including the Isle of Man TT. How much exposure would you get if they were like, right, top rack, you're hopping on the MotoGP bike and you're doing a parade wrap around the TT? That in
But
itself
they
would
need
create
Toprak.
such a buzz.
Yeah.
I,
They
I
need
think,
Toprak. They need a sellable rider, and Toprak obviously is doing that at the minute. And
but
I
there's no
know
guarantee it'll
Toprak,
stay.
well, that's the thing. I know Toprak has said his full focus is on winning the World Superbike Championship again
Mm,
with this manufacturer. Like, BMW need Toprak.
they do.
And if
more
it's
than
Yeah,
not
he needs
Toprak,
them.
yeah, it would need to be someone on Toprak's level, aka
Mark
Pecco
Marquez, Pedro
Bagnaia, Mark
Costa.
Marquez. Yeah, they need a big name who's doing well in whether it be MotoGP or World Superbikes, and that's a lot of conversations that probably are happening at the minute. I'd say with Toprak,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because
what's to say Toprak doesn't sign for Honda
that's the
in World
thing.
Superbikes and do the
That
same again?
that's what I was just about to say, because I think Top Rack's on one of those, you know, when people like go and try and platinum a video game and complete every achievement. I think Top Rack's on that thing again where he's like, right, I could win championship with two different manufacturers. Should I try for
Why not
three?
three?
Why
Yeah,
not three? Why not win a race on four different manufacturers and championship on three different struggling manufacturers?
This is the thing. How serious are BMW about it? Because Toprak has tested a MotoGP bike before,
And
and we
hated
did
it.
not hear anything about it other than the fact that he did not like it. Uh, And again, we didn't see any times. We didn't really see anything about it or hear anything about it. And then obviously he decided to move to BMW. Like, not only did he test the Yamaha and MotoGP, then was
Hated it
like,
that
whoa,
much.
I'm actually going to leave Yamaha and World Superbikes
When
too.
your bike sucks
So,
that much, I don't want to be
yeah.
anywhere near it.
So
I'm leaving.
he's had the MotoGP opportunity handed to him on a silver platter before. So, now I'm a wee bit more skeptical about the whole situation, because they need Toprak, because there's no one else in World Superbikes at the minute who they could take that would do what Toprak is doing and be able to make that work in MotoGP, which is a big call, because obviously I don't know how Toprak would fare, but
Yeah.
Jack Miller at
especially an older
BMW.
Toprak.
Well, after a 2-year sabbatical, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like, no disrespect to any of the riders, I'm not to name, but like, they don't really want to jump into MotoGP with Stefan Bradl and Augusto Fernandez, like,
Yeah, but
because
age
they're
is a
not going to get
massive thing
anywhere, you
too.
know?
They
Yeah.
need young
Yeah.
enough riders that the project can work. You've got a solid few years, but you also need riders who are old enough to be experienced. And that's a very, very fine line in MotoGP, because age is a massive, massive thing, and we've seen it now. Like, we call Marc Marquez old. He's 31. Like,
Yeah. You know who
that's
did
not
it
old.
perfectly? Yeah, it's not old, and they do need that mix, and you're spot on. And the team that did it absolutely perfectly was Suzuki in 2015, with the rookie of Maverick Vinales paired with the old head in a young man's body at the time of Aleix Espargaro. And the pair of
El
them,
Capitano.
the pair of them worked exceptionally well. And Aleix was working in the background, building that bike up, whilst Vinales could focus his talent on just getting the results. And then he won a race a year and a half into their comeback.
So what's happening now?
What, Aprilia or?
Yeah.
Well, they're both old men now,
Yeah, that's
but
true.
they both have won races. So yeah, so now they need BMW should if BMW join, they need to pick an older rider, like, I mean, if he's up for it, Johan Zarco. And then again, he'll be like 38
No.
at that point.
Nah.
So it'd be an older rider, Alex Rins, for example, or Fabio Quartararo, or somebody who will be quite happy to, fast and happy to take a paycheck or developing a BMW. And then they need a Moto 2 hotshot, like whoever
David
the hell's
Alonso at
leading
that
Moto
point.
3 at the moment. Yeah, I was thinking
Do you know
David
what I'm just
Alonso.
thinking? Marc Marquez.
Yeah, would be a
He's
good
out of
shout.
contract with Ducati at the end of 2026.
Yeah,
If BMW want to be serious about this, you bring your hotshot guy, Toprak, from
compare
World
him with Marc
Superbikes.
Marquez.
He's had enough now of World Superbikes. He's won all around him. He's just serious about the MotoGP championship. You say, we can get you winning this MotoGP championship. He goes, okay, yeah, that's what I want to do. He wants to win championships. That's clear. And then you get the likes of Marc Marquez, who has all the experience in the world, has done whatever he's managed to do on the factory Ducati. He's out of contract. I don't see them keeping Marc Marquez after that, because
No,
Too
they
old.
they like signing the young talent, and they like sort of just
and then be
chucking
an
people out.
Italian
So
Diggia standing there waiting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that, in my opinion, would be the way forward.
Yeah, that's
What
actually a
they're gonna
belter
do.
of a shout.
And they've got the money to pay them both.
Yeah, it's true.
Right, let's write to BMW.
So I'm just drafting up an email
The
right now.
scriptwriters have said that they would like this to happen, please.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting thought, and yeah, I'm intrigued to see what could happen. But yeah, and heading into, before we do predictions, one last thing.
Yeah, sorry, that was wild.
It's fine. Long podcast is fine. We had a pretty good weekend, and it was kind of capped off by Jake Dixon taking the victory in Moto 2.
That was special. The crowd was
Amazing.
nuts. It was like being at a football match. Everyone
Genuinely
was
was.
losing it.
I mean, half the fans had left at that point, but it was still, just unreal.
Well,
It was
attendance
great.
could be another conversation at Silverstone.
Yes. That was bad that what happened at Silverstone.
Well,
But
I thought attendance was great.
What
Like,
was the
I
number?
felt the buzz.
yeah, I did, yeah. But then
42,000, I think,
on race day,
on
yeah,
Sunday. On
How
Sunday.
much?
which is like
43.
10. F1 is like
yeah.
10 times that on a Sunday, I believe, or maybe
I
it's a
was
whole race
No,
weekend. But
I think they're 100,000 ish on. I think over a race
okay,
weekend they're 400,000.
gotcha.
Yeah,
But
I don't
yeah,
think they get 400,000 through the doors on Monday.
but
That would be
yeah,
halves.
it was just lovely to see Jake win like that on the home soil. You could see how much it
Yeah.
meant for him, and the best part was he was doing it in his dad's helmet, who'd won a sidecar race at Donington, so he'd won a British race. Jake then did the same thing with his dad's lid on. It was just perfect, and the battle and the race with Aaron Canet was so tense the whole time. And when he got that
Oh,
move
right
done,
to
I was
the
like,
end.
Canet's gonna come back, and Canet looked like he was gonna, but he couldn't get it done. And yeah, it was just so good. And Jake has been phenomenal the last few races. Like the first 5 races, he scored 0 points due to that absolutely horrific crash at Qatar, and the WP still kind of being embedded and getting into the groove. And now he's got 78 points. He's 7th in the championship. He's passed everyone to get there. Him and Vietti stood on the podium with the WP suspension. WP have won a race again for the first time since probably Brad Binder on the KTM chassis.
Yeah.
And now Jake is confident. He's going to Austria, which he quite likes.
Yeah.
Vietti's looking strong as well. Could be in for a
I-
good rest of the season.
Absolutely. And do you know what I think was a shame as well in the sort of press conference after it? I mean, he's talking about how obviously elated he was and happy with the win, and then he made that remark of like, "Oh, I won't say anything stupid or something, so nobody can like bring it up or like mock me for it." Essentially, those weren't the words he used, and I was just like, "Ah, it's like so sad that he feels the need to like rein it in like that because for fear of the publicity from it, and like sure maybe he made his bed with his comments last year with Darren Binder, but like it's just a shame that that's on his mind now. I was like, oh, just be happy and like say what you want to say. It's a shame that kind of social media and everything is at that point where it almost maybe put a slight dampener on the occasion for him. So but yeah,
It's
I
a
didn't catch
shame.
that. I haven't watched the.
No, I didn't see that.
I just
either,
caught that
to be
one
fair.
line, and I was like, ah,
Yeah,
it's
it's a shame.
Well,
Yeah.
it is good that he's self-aware in that sense because he has sort
Well,
of shot himself in the foot numerous times with sort
Mhm.
of speaking his
Pedro
mind. Him
Costa's
and
comments.
oh well,
Talking
that
him
was true.
about
Yeah,
and a
forgot about
couple
that
other
one.
riders. But
Yeah,
yeah,
ban
I
him.
do. I do get where you're coming from, though. It's sad that in that moment where he should just be so elated with what's just happened, that's the thing that's playing on his mind. But
Yeah,
you never know. Maybe he had a wee conversation with press officers and stuff like that beforehand that maybe brought that to the forefront of his mind of like, oh yeah, actually,
Need
yes,
to
I've
mention
won,
it.
but I do need to just check
Rein it
myself
in.
before I go ahead and
Yeah.
say something. Which, yeah, we don't like PR trained answers, but I suppose there is a time and a place, and when your emotions are so high after
yeah.
a race like that, you never know actually what probably would have come out of his mouth. So
Especially if
True.
he's, if he's possibly talking to GP teams as well, he might want to just make sure that he doesn't do anything to upset the apple cart there.
Yeah, that's it. Last thing you want to do is cost yourself a ride because you can't keep your mouth shut.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
well,
Right, should we go on to predictions?
Do we actually have to?
So, for those who don't listen to this podcast and haven't listened before every race, we do predictions and we try and pick and predict, much like with MotoGP Guru, who will be on the podium each race. And we have a point scoring system. So you get 10 points if you get pole right, 12 points if you get the sprint winner correct, 16 for P3, 20 for P2, 25 for P1, much like the normal scoring system. All three on the podium will net you 75 points, and if you get everything right, including pole, you get 100 points. And in the MotoGP class, we'll give you 125 if you get the sprint as well. So, the standings heading into Silverstone, I led with 449 points, ahead of Lauren with 352 and Cameron with 331. Now, we could go
Close.
through each individual one, but I was the only one to score points
Shut
all
up.
weekend long.
Shut up.
And
You
I
just
hate
had
it.
to do that.
Yeah.
well, I could rub it in. I could have gone slowly and been like, "Yes, you didn't get anything here. That's weird. You didn't get anything but a 2." But I'm not going to do that.
you just
So,
did.
Yeah, now I did because you look.
Don't blame us for this. Do not victim blame here.
No. So in Moto 3, I got Ortola correct on pole position. That was it for the entire class. So I scored 10 points.
Nice one.
I actually went into Silverstone, with 439, do apologise, and then got 10 points. That's why it's on 449.
You just add points whenever you like.
I can send you a
Honestly.
document if you want, and you can tally it up yourself.
To any new
In-
viewers, he does this, right? This is what he does.
This
No,
cheating
I'm
behavior.
not cheating.
Yeah. Listen,
Oh dear.
we just have to accept it because we don't have the spreadsheet.
I've
So-
sent
this
you
is
the
the problem.
spreadsheet so
We
many
asked
times.
the point system to be changed at the end of last year.
Yeah.
So Declan, what does he do? He goes ahead and changes the point system on his own without
Yeah.
any further comments
both
from
of
everybody
you
else.
to help me and even write a new point system, and you did nothing.
Because
And
you just
so-
did it. You just went, well, this is how the points are going to be this year.
Yeah, because I was
And
like,
I went,
I'm very happy and
that
open to
sounds
hearing
like
what you say.
Another way that Declan can just go ahead and win everything.
You're just bitter because you're like last all the time.
I'm not last though.
For once.
I'm not last.
I gave you two the chance to create some point systems, and you did nothing with it. Got
I have
screenshots to prove
said
it.
a million times that we should do what BSB do and have
Yeah.
a showdown.
Well,
And I've been
okay,
knocked down every time.
okay. You've never said that.
Yes, I have.
Okay, right then. Let's discuss it now. Which round are we doing the showdown from? Come on, let's do it.
I don't know when BSB
Oh, for God's sake!
usually do the
see what I
showdown.
mean?
It's
She
not
comes
like
up
the
with
last
ideas.
3
She can't-
rounds. I'm gonna find. Well, no, I don't know if I
It's
typed
3
it
rounds
out.
to go
I
in
don't know if
BSB.
I don't know
The
if I ever
showdown
sent a
starts.
message about it, but I've definitely mentioned it on the podcast.
Okay. Well, anyway,
well,
in
I'm not going
2,
through all the footage to find it.
No.
So.
No.
In Moto 2, I did correctly predict Dixon to win the race, so I got 25 points on that to bring me to 474 points. And then in MotoGP, the only one that was correct was Martin in second place. That netted me another 20 points to bring me to 494. Lauren with 352 and Cameron with 331.
I hate this.
Why?
It's actually just not even fun anymore.
You're just
Like,
mad.
the fun has been
I'm
sucked
winning
out of it.
3 years in a row now. I've changed the point system and you still can't catch me.
Listen, we're halfway through the season. I'm about to pull an Enea. Right.
How many
I'm just
points back am I on you right now?
On me?
like 140 or something.
It's a bit more than that.
Oh,
Actually, no, am I
God.
right? Minus 300 and, was it 52? 142. Spot on, Cameron. Just about, anyway.
We buns.
So that but that's one weekend. So like
Yeah.
at
that's
Austria,
it.
for example, I'm gonna get 100 points. We're
Yeah.
gonna, like for each class. So
If you get 100, if you get everything right in a whole weekend, you'll score 325 points.
yeah. So I hope you're ready because
Clip
Do you
it.
But
know?
here's the thing: I
Yeah.
went with such solid choices, like
Same.
David
Yeah.
Alonso. David Alonso.
Yeah.
Like, are you for real?
And he was
Also
second.
Has won what 5, 6, however
6
many
out of 9
races?
races, yeah.
Jesus Christ! No, it has to
And
be
he
more
was
than that. That's
second.
race 10.
I had Dixon in third. When does Dixon ever not
I
come
had
third? Do you
Dixon
know
in
what I mean?
second.
And he goes and wins.
And Furman to win? Like,
A Guru
Pecco.
second, and he was 14th.
I had Pecco for the win. Like, the man had
Who'd won
4 in a row.
it's just,
Sorry?
you know, he acts like it's skill, but honestly, it's just, I don't
That's
know
the
what's
thing.
happening.
In MotoGP, yeah, I went a wee bit rogue with the sprint race. But other than that, I had a solid prediction.
But that's the thing, unless it's exactly right, you get no points. So here we are.
Yeah, it was too confusing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, your maths is bad on a good day anyway, so...
I tried to work out an algorithm so I could just put it in and it would sort it, but oh my god, it was confusing. You had to like run some weird little source program. I was like, bro, this is too much admin. So we have to deal with
Write
my
some
maths
script.
instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Too
a
much
lot.
for us. Little brains.
Yeah.
Smooth brains.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's all we've got time for until next time.
Next
Next
week, I'm
week.
gonna pick the same predictions as Declan. Like, exactly. Bang on. Right? And I'm gonna see what happens.
All right.
Maybe I
This'll
shouldn't have
be a
said
fun
anything.
experiment.
But I'm gonna... I've put it out there now.
Okay, I'll let you do that for 1 week. You can copy the answers of the teacher.
Well, let me think about it. But, that's...
The
yeah.
student becomes the master. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then from then on in, it's over for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that could go one of two ways. That will either bring Deck down or it'll bring Lauren up.
He'll start deducting points off me.
Yeah,
at
but
this
like,
stage.
Yeah. Oh
Stop
my
being
days.
stupid.
God. But
Like,
yeah,
I had Maverick Vinales, but no, Alicia Spagro had to take pole.
Yeah, it's
she had
Alicia's
Vinales
weekend,
for
isn't it?
pole,
Yeah.
yeah. Lace was like, nope. Well, the fact that Cameron had Bagnaia on pole, Bagnaia went and blitzed the lap record, and you're like, well, that's a certain pole. And then Bagnaia is like, actually, I'm gonna let Lace take it instead. And like
Yeah.
me
The
with
problem
pole
is-
and Moto 2, Canet led entirety of Friday, broke a lap records on Saturday, and then still didn't get pole.
But Moto 3, I had the right riders, just in the wrong order. I had Alonso, Vire, and Ortola.
I think
Oh,
we had the
yeah, you
same we had
did.
the same podium.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Like,
the
I
wrong way
had all the
around.
right guys.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Oh, isn't it?
It's so annoying. For who?
Yeah, but like I'd be genuinely annoyed by that.
Can't you tell that we are?
Do you think I'm
No,
elated
really?
right now?
Oh my goodness. This is raising my blood pressure way too high before bed. Jeez, oh.
So you two need to chill
It's
out.
going to end
bro.
in an argument, okay? So this needs to stop now.
Okay. Anyway, well, I've
gonna
tried
end
to
in
end
tears.
the podcast, but
Okay.
yeah,
So
this
I'm
is the first
seething with
episode.
rage. Sorry.
This the first episode of On the Gas podcast, and Lauren is very angry. So I hope
This
Nothing
is a
has
common
changed.
Common
yes,
theme.
it is common. It is common. Now you got a face cam to back it up.
Great.
Oh my days.
So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening, and we're back next week with episode 2, and you'll see some clips on social media as well. Hopefully, if we can work out how to edit these up and get all that sorted. But like
Yeah.
always, thank you for listening. We're back next time. Thank you and goodbye.
Before we say bye, subscribe,
Yes, like and
hit the bell icon.
subscribe.
All the video stuff that we didn't do
Yes.
before.
Oh, I've got another one. And
Oh.
follow us on Instagram on the Gas Pod.
And check out MotoGP
Yes,
Guru
please.
in the description below.
Yes, it helps support the channel.
Yes,
Or we
That'd
can
be
put it up on
thanks.
the screen.
Yeah, true.
Is that something
We can do that now. Maybe.
I figured out how
Maybe.
to do that recently. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice. There you go. Oh, the little
There's a
annotation
video
things.
here.
Yeah. Click up here. Don't know where it'll be, but yeah. Right, can we end this podcast?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
just end the
Right.
recording. I think we'll cry
Bye.
before that.